Hello, welcome to another week in Library 1115, Introduction to Information Research. As I was looking for sample searches, I looked in your class and I found that one of your classmates is interested in juvenile diabetes. I just wanted to give some gentle feedback and I hope this is helpful, but it's recommended that we focus our research questions. One of the questions that your classmates has is, what is juvenile diabetes and how can we control it? This still seems just a little bit vague. So ask yourself, what do you mean by control it? Who should control it? Parents, children, and how might you control it? I've got an idea here, two ideas. One possible question is, how can children manage their treatment of juvenile diabetes? And idea number 2, how should parents treat their children with juvenile diabetes? This week, we are focusing on peer-reviewed articles. This is probably the most important week of the semester because in academia, in college, a lot of professors ask and invite students to look for peer-reviewed articles. So it's important to understand how to do that. Let's get started. Let's take a look in Academic Search Complete in the regular general database that we have, and let's do some searches. We can start by doing a search for juvenile diabetes, or we can even copy and paste this keyword Boolean search, and we can enter it into this quick articles box, and we can click search. We get 103 articles, and so that seems like a good number. It doesn't seem like a lot. The next thing to do is, because we're focusing on academic peer-reviewed articles, let's focus on scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And now it limits our search even further, down to 92. And we can even say, well, we don't want old stuff. We want more contemporary stuff that's relevant today. So once you do that, it limits your results even a bit more. In the past, I used to tell students a lot to limit to full-text articles, and I don't do that quite so much anymore. I think maybe even in the George book, it seems like she says that you shouldn't always do this because you could be limiting yourself too much. You want to find all the possible relevant results. We talked about the difference between an index and a catalog last week, and so here we are in an article index, an article database, and it's telling us about articles for which there may not be access to the full text readily available. In fact, in these first few results, 1, 2, 3, there is no link to the full text. Usually there's a link down here. And then in some cases, there's a link to the Find It at ISU button, and that link, it's only like 2 steps away and you can access the full text in many cases. It's telling us it's available in Wiley. We'll click go. This is the article. It's pointing up, and if we make this larger, we can see Get PDF. When I click on the Get PDF, then this is the article I can read. So if I limit back on this page, if I limit to full text, it limits to only articles for which full text is accessible in this particular database. If we scroll down further, if the PDF is available in this particular database, it will say PDF full text or HTML full text. Pretty simple. It's great. Another thing to keep in mind is that if an article is published in a peer-reviewed scholarly journal, that does not guarantee that it is a peer-reviewed article. So let me explain that a little bit more. If I click on this that says references available, instead of 62, now it looks like we only have 6. So I believe that what this means is that if it's a book review or an editor's opinion, then it excludes those kinds of articles, because those, even though they're published in a peer-reviewed publication, a book review is not a peer-reviewed publication. It's reviewed and edited by the editor of that particular journal, but it is not peer-reviewed in the sense that it's sent out to peers in the field who then scrutinize and give suggestions to improve and maybe even say print or do not print in this particular journal. A book review doesn't go through that kind of scrutiny, nor does an editorial by the editor. Now you might say, 6 articles? Well, that doesn't seem quite as helpful. What if I don't find articles related to my question? We can also, if we unclick this, the other thing that I find is that articles that are book reviews or editorials, you'll notice that it does provide how many pages this article is. And so usually when it's only 1 or 2 pages, that indicates that it is a book review or an editorial. If it's longer than 2 or 3 pages, 7 pages, 13 pages, you can rest assured that it is a longer scholarly article and it is more peer-reviewed. So let's say we want to find more articles, right? Here we've got 62 in our list, and maybe we do want to limit to just the references available. Let's show you this choose articles, and here you can select other databases for which we have access as ISU constituents. If you go to CINAHL with full text, you'll notice that this is a database especially for nurses and allied health professionals. If we click on that box and we can say OK, now we have to conduct our search once again. So we click search, and now we've got 106 results. And so we're back to that number again, and we can start looking through our results and we can see what is helpful and what is not. Number 6 actually looks fairly promising. Parental perspectives of diabetes management in Alabama public schools, because it's related to parents and how parents might treat juvenile diabetes for their own children. And then again, I think I may have mentioned this in past lectures, but subject thesaurus terms are always a good thing. If you show more, click that show more button, you can limit to diabetes and treatment, and maybe you can find some subject headings with the word parents in them or families. And if you're focused on just the parents, then you could be even more focused. So here we've got parents, and we'll click update, and now we have 27 results that we can look at. So we've shown you a number of those things. One thing that is important for this week is to actually find an article that is from a peer-reviewed publication. I have noticed that in some cases, sources, the EBSCOhost database doesn't always get it right. But let me show you something. Here it says Southern Medical Journal. I'll click on that. And here we can look at all the issues for which we have access by year. We can even search within this publication if we want to. So that can be helpful. Here is where it tells us this publication is peer-reviewed. So let me show you one other place where you can find and determine whether a publication is peer-reviewed. And this other resource that I show you should also be helpful for an in-class or the weekly activity for this week. So let me copy and paste this journal title. We'll go to the library homepage, and here's our library quick links. If you haven't discovered this link, it's a good one. It's a handy one to access things quickly. We've got databases alphabetic. This is a list of all of our databases, which is really handy. Let's click on the U, and we'll go to Ulrichsweb. Okay, here we've got Ulrichsweb, formerly Ulrich's Periodicals Directory. Here we can paste in our journal title. When you see a referee shirt, like right here, and you hover over it, it says refereed. Refereed is another term for peer-reviewed. I think in that video that you watched a few weeks ago, peer-reviewed in 5 minutes, it tells you the same thing, that anything that says it's refereed, that means it's peer-reviewed. When you open up the journal, there's more information here, and when it says refereed, yes, you can say, yay, this is great, this is the one that I'm looking for. It's peer-reviewed, so you can rest assured that this is the source that when we grade the assignments for the peer-reviewed journal article assignment, which is due this next Sunday, we look in Ulrichsweb to see if it's peer-reviewed. If it says yes, then we'll give you full points for finding peer-reviewed articles. If it's not, then we won't give you full points. So that's kind of what we're looking for. There are other articles that are scholarly and but maybe not peer-reviewed. And so let's take a look. In this one, New Directions for Teaching and Learning, it is a periodical. It is a scholarly journal. And this was actually, during the week, we talked about evaluating sources. We asked you to look at an article published in this publication, New Directions for Teaching and Learning. You'll notice there is no referee shirt here. So let's take a look at it. If we look here, we can see that The content type says it is academic and scholarly, which is great because, yes, scholars do publish in this journal. However, it's not peer-reviewed. It's not sent out for peers to give their feedback and comments and suggestions for improvement. It is just edited by the editors, and it's not peer-reviewed. So that's not to say that the articles are not high quality or good or well researched. It just means that it's not peer reviewed. It's not sent out and put through that more rigorous process. For this week, we're looking for scholarly peer reviewed articles, and in future weeks and for your final assignments, you can definitely use any academic or scholarly sources, but these are things to mention in your assignment. Talk about whether it is peer reviewed. Did you look at Ulrichsweb? And did you verify that it is peer-reviewed? When we go to the database, we can go to advanced search. Here's where you can do more of an author search. You can do source search. This is where you put the journal title, and it is available here. When we look in EBSCOhost, it tells us that it is peer-reviewed, but Ulrichsweb says it is not, and so we're going to go with Ulrichsweb. I actually looked this up on the internet, on the publisher's website, and they said that it's just scholarly and not peer-reviewed.